Welcome to this video where I'm going to walk you through one of the workouts I've created to help myself and my athletes that unfortunately don't have access to the pools, gyms, or anything like that. We got to do what we got to do while we're at home. Right now we're hunkered down. We got our 3 kids out of school, out of daycare, and we're all home and getting this in during nap time for the 4-year-old. So hopefully this kind of goes through my workout a little bit and kind of explains the movements and kind of maybe different adaptations you could do to get through this workout and kind of get you through this tough spot that we're all in and dealing with at this point in time. So with that, we're going to jump into it. This is going to be specifically using bands. So hopefully you have some sort of bands, and I bought this. You can get this at Target for like $5 or something like that. So it was just a little bitty package. It had 3 different resistance bands or whatever. Or you can do cords that have handles on them. These are really nice because at least you have a nice grip for a handle or something like that. I also have I've had these for a while. Dusted them off down in the basement. I got a 20, 15, and a 10 pounder. So we're using those. And also got a medicine ball. Luckily, I was able to get this on Amazon Prime before their shipments kind of got delayed for a few weeks. So that's kind of just the general stuff I use. Yesterday, I did this workout on my deck while my kids played in the yard. So it was great just to hook a band to a post or something like that, something pretty firm. So I'm just going to walk you through real quick. So most of my workouts, I like to see you warmed up a little bit. So 5 minutes of, even if you're in a small confined space and you can't get out and do anything, 5 minutes of just jogging in place or something like that. Jumping jacks, just something to get the blood flowing, get the heart pumping. And then I've got a couple different kind of dynamic warm-up movements. So leg lifts, butt kicks, pike stretch. So if you don't know what they are, let me know. I could put more content in there. I've got links for some of the different movements so you have some good examples of good form and what to do. Because as I run through this video, I'm not necessarily a instructor per se of getting your form just right, but I'll show you kind of the general gist of the movements and then kind of how I would maybe use different devices for adaptations for a home. So the first start, and what I'm doing with this is I'm focusing on the ability to get a good burn. You're looking at your lats, you're looking at your triceps, all those arm and muscles and everything you're using for the swims, getting the elbows and the joints working and all your stabilizer muscles working. So that's the general gist is I'm putting in pulling with bands or with rubber bands or whatever you got to just simulate muscle movements and kind of continuous periods of time, because when you're swimming, you're doing a 500, you're doing a 300, you're doing 1,000, whatever. So it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time when you're doing nothing but stroking. So it's kind of hard to just kind of mentally just plug in and sit there for 20 minutes of just pulling on the bands and doing your swim movements, that type of thing. So I'm trying to break it up and keep it a little bit interesting, because you can do different movements that hit those muscles as well. Kind of break it up, help you move around and do different stuff. So the first one is you're going to be pulling with bands. So it's however you got to do it, hook it on something firm, and basically you're just doing the swim stroke. So if you have bands, the closer you are, the longer you can reach out and get that full movement. But if you want a little bit more resistance, the more you back up, the more you have to pull on that tricep. So what I would do, and I'm recommending the first one is 5 per side of 3 sets. So basically you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch sides. So notice I'm not taking rests. It's quick, but I'm working each side, and I'm working around and trying to make sure that I'm keeping the heart rate up, working the muscles, but it's kind of a lower resistance, so you can keep doing it, and it's not just going to wear you out. You're not doing it to the point of where you're at muscle failure or anything, but that's the first set. So 3 sets of that. So you do 5 each side, 3 times. Take a little bit of a rest, like a minute or so. So you switch out to upright rows. You can do them different kind of ways. You can do them with bands. See? So I'm just doing an upright row. It's not killer or anything like that. You can do it with kettlebells. Upright row. You can even do it if you have medicine balls. Just do with what you got. Work with what you got. If you got bands, just work with what you got. Whatever you got at home, even if you don't have this stuff, if you got paint buckets, whatever. If you got heavy books, got my wife's leadership books, they're nice and heavy. If you've already read through them and you don't need them, you know, grab whatever you can that's a little bit heavy around the house. But the main thing is we're doing 3 sets of 15. So you're not hitting the muscle. It's not a full on heavy weight movement. It's, you know, doing them quickly, do them under control, make sure you're getting the proper form, kind of holding it at the top a little bit just to get a little bit of a squeeze on those muscles. But you're keeping the heart rate up and you're keeping moving. So we're trying to mimic kind of the swim workout as much as possible. It's not going to be, you know, doing a bench press and squats in the gym. That's a different kind of strength workout altogether, especially if you're at home. You cannot, typically most of us do not have home gyms where we've got the weights so we can do that kind of stuff. You know, we used to have a clubhouse here in our neighborhood, you know, we pay our dues and everything, and they closed it. So it had some free weights and stuff like that, but, you know, we're stuck with what we got at home. So you do that, the upright rows, so you do it with bands, kettlebells, whatever you got. 3 sets of 15, do them under control, don't take much rest in between, you know, maybe take like 20 seconds in between each rep, and then get it done. So the next one, you're doing the swim bands again. And then this time you're doing 10 on each side. So we're going up, and we're up in count, and we're making you work a little bit harder. And again, you're just doing it, find a nice rhythm, you know, don't be like my 9-year-old son. When I make him do a workout, he just tries to get through the movement as fast as possible. You're not getting any benefit out of that, and it's just kind of a waste of your time. So make sure you're getting a nice firm movement. Like I said, the closer you are with bands, you know, if you're far away, you're going to get more of a pull tricep. If you're a little bit closer, you can actually get a little bit more of the range of a full swim movement. So try as much as you can to keep that form on your arm and that resistance. Just work it nice and gradually. Don't fire through it. You need to make sure you keep it under control and keeping that nice movement at the end and get that nice full all the way, working the lats, getting the pull, getting the shoulders working in there. Make sure you're getting a nice movement out of that. And if it hurts at any point in time, you need to reevaluate how you're doing the movement, or maybe your band is a little bit too tight or something like that. So, or maybe you need to go back and maybe dial down the amount of reps per set you're doing. So, you know, this isn't too advanced, but if you're not used to using stretch cords and other weights and other things, you know, if you're more typically swim, bike, and run and very little strength training, this is going to be new. It's going to be different. You're going to experience some adaptations. So after you do this, you're going to be a little sore. You're going to be walking around the house feeling like, oh, I can't reach stuff. But anyway, over time, you will be able to kind of get used to it, and it shouldn't be a problem. So you do 3 sets of 10 per side. That's per side. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. You know, so basically you're going to do 20, 40, 60 total in that set, in that section of workout for the swim bands. So we're getting up there in how many of these you're doing, again, to mimic the kind of the swim workouts you're kind of missing, to keep those muscles engaged and strong. So when we are kind of through the thick of it, everybody's back in the pool and you haven't missed that much, we're going to be missing out on you using technique and whatever for breathing and for form and that type of thing, but we're keeping the muscles engaged and ready for jumping back in the pool. So medicine ball toss, I love doing these. It's a 15-pound medicine ball. You can do it in the house, just don't hit the ceiling. You can go, I did it on the porch yesterday, like I said, it was a nice day. Just a medicine ball toss. If you can't do that, then you can do a press with a band. So notice I'm kind of on the floor, because if I was standing up, I wouldn't have enough resistance, or I'd had too much resistance. I couldn't really do much with it. So I'm just doing a press over my head. You know, if you got a bar, that's great. Kettlebells, whatever you got to do, whatever you got to work with. Paint buckets. Like I said, I've got 5-gallon paint buckets that are half empty that came with our house when we moved in 7 years ago. So that's heavy enough that could cause enough of a problem. Or I've got my 4-year-old, you know, she's 48 pounds. So you lift her up a few times, you got a good press going on. So there's multiple different ways you can incorporate your kids in there, and they can be great resistance training too. So just make sure, again, you're not going overboard, because if you go gung-ho too much the first time, get to the end, you're going to be worn out, and it's like, I need 2 or 3 days to recover from that workout, and kind of defeats the purpose. But ease into it gently. So the next set, doing the swim bands again, you're doing 20 on each side, and you're going through and doing 3 sets of those. Then you go through and you do bent over rows. So what I like to do is basically I'm just putting my arm in a chair, bent over rows. You know, I've got the weight here. You could do it with bands. You know, you can spread your feet apart on the band, make it more difficult. So you're just working those lats, you're engaging those muscles, you're engaging the shoulder. Just different movements, keep everything engaged, keep it interesting so you're not just doing swim bands for an hour. So we're doing 3 sets of 15 for those. Get back on the swim bands, and then we're going down the ladder. So now it's timber side again. And then we go to reverse fly with the bands. So we're getting that back involved. So you could do it, like I said, if you pick the wrong band, it's going to be kind of difficult. But basically, it's just a shoulder movement. So you can bend over, work in the back. If you got a band that's long enough, do it at once. So really watch those shoulders, because even as I'm doing it, I can be able to pop a little bit and it's a little bit uncomfortable. So don't do it to the point where you have pain. But that's an option. So reverse fly, so you can do it with weights. You know, you could do it with bands, whatever you got around the house. You know, 3 sets of 15 of that. And then we go back to the swim cords, 5 sets or 3 sets of 5 per side. So 10, 20, 30. Then you're done with that. Take a rest. And then have another little cool down. Make sure you're still doing your stretching. Make sure you're still doing foam rolling and all that good stuff. It's just, you know, it's good protocol. After you're done with your workout, you get the heart rate down. You sit on the floor, you stretch. Make sure the muscles stay elongated, because over time, you know, doing lower weights, you're not going to put on a bunch of bulk, but you could limit mobility and flexibility if you do strength training and you don't go through and still stretch the muscles afterwards. Also, other recommendations for this is you could take this workout and you can kind of cut out the warm-up. Let's say you do a 30-minute quick hit type of spin on your trainer or something like that, if you got access to that. Because most of us, I've got a treadmill, fortunately, in the pain cave, but it's 12 years old, so who knows when that thing's going to kick the bucket. But, you know, if you're stuck in an apartment, you don't have access to a treadmill. Also, you got your trainer and your bike. You know, if it's a fluid trainer or something like that, just get on there for 30 minutes, warm up for 10, and then do 30 seconds, you know, fast spin, fast revolutions, and then 2 minutes easy. So just do that like 12, 15 times, get the heart rate up, get everything moving, get you on your bike for a little bit, gets the heart rate up, works on the aerobic system. And then you switch over and you do this workout. So I've got it in at about 57, 60 minutes. As you get used to this, it could go pretty quick. Like I said, don't just go gangbusters through the workout. Make sure you're getting rest in between the sets. But it could take less time. Typically, something like this would probably take me 30, 45 minutes, just because I don't have to think much. I don't have to go back and look at the workout or anything like that, and there's not much time in between, unless a kid, you know, trips in the yard and scuffs a knee, then, you know, we have to put the workout on pause and go take care of that. But anyway, that's a side note. So don't get intimidated when you see that it's 60 minutes long. It could take a lot less time with that, and especially if you're used to doing any type of band training or anything like that on your own. So with that basically kind of goes over this workout for the swim bands, the ladder routine that I put in there. If you got any question, put them in the comments. I will address them and revise this video as needed to make sure that you are up to speed on how to do this workout and the intent of the workout. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more workouts. Talk to you later.